All right, let's jump right in with a pretty radical idea today. What if we've been looking at the Quran all wrong? What if it's not a storybook, but something more like an operating system, a living, breathing code that's designed to run reality itself?
So, let me just pose this question to you directly. Forget everything you know about reading a story from beginning to end. What if the real goal wasn't just to read it, but to actually run it?
You see, this is where the core difference lies. Most stories we know build on each other, right? A leads to B, which leads to C. It's a straight line. But this system, it doesn't start with just one thing. It begins with two powerful, opposing forces, like mercy and command, held in perfect tension. It's not about adding pieces to a historical narrative. It's about balancing a dynamic, living system.
And this isn't just some poetic interpretation. The system's foundational code is stated right there, loud and clear. We created all things in pairs. Now, this isn't just about biology, male and female. The sources frame this as the literal architecture of reality itself. The starting point isn't a void, it isn't nothingness, it's duality.
Okay, so if reality itself starts with pairs, with duality, how does that actually work? What makes it go? Well, that brings us to the core mechanic, the engine that drives this entire system.
The source material gives it a technical name, a dual-caustic system. Now that sounds complicated, but the analogy it uses is actually beautiful and simple. Imagine you have two separate streams of light. On their own, they're diffuse, they don't really illuminate much. But if you get them to intersect at the absolute perfect angle, they create a single, brilliant, focused point of light. That focal point? That's guidance. And in this model, all of reality is shaped by that kind of interaction.
So what are these two streams? On one side, you have boundless mercy. This is the realm of infinite potential, of timeless truth, the unseen. And on the other side, you have firm command. This is the structured physical world of cause and effect, of consequences, the seen. Now here's the kicker. On its own, neither one gives you clear guidance. Mercy without limits or structure, it can become unjust. And command without mercy? Well, that's just tyranny.
And this is the critical insight, the real magic of the system. Where these two streams meet, it's not a compromise. It's not about finding a mushy middle ground. Their tensions actually cancel each other out perfectly to produce exact, stable guidance. It's a precise, fixed point that emerges from that divine tension, almost like two ocean waves meeting to form a single, stable peak.
Right, but a system of opposing forces can't just run itself. Something has to bring them together. Something needs to compute a clear result from all that tension. And that brings us to the operator.
I mean, think about it. Two powerful, opposing forces just clashing with each other. That's not guidance, that's just noise. It's chaos. For it to work, a system needs a processor, an operator, to compute a clear result from all that input.
The sources call this operator Ahmed, and it's absolutely crucial to understand this not as a name, but as an operational state. It's described as a state of love without sight. Think of it as the necessary orientation of your heart, the correct internal setting that allows those two massive forces, mercy and command, to resolve into clear, actionable truth. It's the key that turns the ignition and runs the entire program.
And this quote just drives the whole point home. Reason alone can't turn flowing opposites into stable guidance. Love can. And we're not talking about some sentimental emotion here that overrides logic. We're talking about a state of being, an orientation that actually transcends pure reason to bridge that impossible gap between infinite divine potential and our finite human reality.
So we've got this dual stream system, and we have an operator that runs on love without sight. But for any operating system to be truly effective, it needs to be stable, right? It needs to survive across time without getting corrupted, and that's where its design as a self-renewing code comes in.
The source material suggests this system is engineered to be timeless and self-correcting, and the best way to understand this is to think about it like a biological code. Think about the incredible structural integrity of DNA.
You know, this DNA analogy is just perfect. DNA has its stable template strand, right, that holds the core information, and then it has a complementary strand that checks for errors and ensures perfect replication. Well, this system is described in the exact same way. There's a stable prophetic template that transmits the original guidance, and then there's a corrective mirror that exposes any errors and provides the path to return. Preservation isn't an afterthought, it is literally built into the dual helix design of the system.
So here's how that self-correction loop actually works in practice. When an error inevitably enters the system, it doesn't just break or crash. Instead, these built-in structural reset points are activated. Guidance is then restored from the original, perfect pattern, and the system's integrity is totally preserved. It doesn't get corrupted, it literally reseeds itself.
And if you want a powerful symbol of this built-in preservation, look no further than the story of the sleepers of the cave. They slept for 309 years, perfectly preserved, while the entire world outside decayed and changed. This isn't just a fascinating story, it's a profound metaphor for how the code itself is designed to lock in and preserve truth against the corrosion of time.
So, let's bring all of this together. What does this mean for us right now? Well, the ultimate implication is a massive shift in our role. It means it's time to stop just reading the book and to start running the code.
And what happens when you run the code? You start to see these incredible practical outcomes. Guidance remains laser precise, yet it's somehow endlessly applicable to any situation. Errors get reset without ever corrupting the core system. Justice can be firm and absolute without ever becoming rigid. And the meaning? The meaning just deepens with every single interaction you have with it.
And this right here is the final crucial takeaway. The goal is not to become a better interpreter of a static ancient text. The goal is to instantiate a living, dynamic system within your own consciousness. You become the operator. You run the code, computing that perfect balance within yourself from the divine tension between mercy and command.
So, I'll leave you with this one question to really reflect on. After everything we've explored today, are you just reading the book, or are you running the code?